Hi everyone, today's video is my build for the Diecast Mafia's Highway Hauler and Car Challenge. For this I decided to use this Hot Wheels Pass and Go, obviously the Monopoly car, and this Corgi A.E.C van. My initial idea for this build is to build some kind of classic racing team from like the 1940s, just with a post-apocalyptic spin to it. So starting with the car first, I'm going to add this 20mm Gaslands Dark Future Bad Cop figure, because the helmet makes him look more like a race car driver. To make him fit, I need to remove the steering wheel as well as the top hat that's been moulded into the seat. After hacking all that out, I kind of wish I'd left the top hat in, because now the driver sits a little too low. So I'm going to have to correct that. Digging through my bits box, I grabbed these back seats from a previous build and then cut them down into a single seat. With that done, I do a bit of a test fit and realise I need to remove the back of the seat as well. With that done, I can glue both the seat and the driver into place, like so. Next I get rid of the original wheels. And switch them out for these Anvil Industry ones. We have 13mm off-road wheels for the front and 14.5mm large off-road wheels on the back, with none of the options applied on either. Following this, I make some new axles out of paper clips. I also make some spaces so the wheels won't rub against the body. Cut these discs out with a hole punch and then drill a hole into the middle of them for the axle to slot through. Then carefully glue these to the body of the car, making sure not to glue the axle in place as well. Next, add this Chemsol Designs bull bar, mounting it upside down, kind of like a dirt track racer, so it protects the front wheels too. Another part from my bits box is this spoiler. Which I mount backwards, as I feel it looks a little bit better that way. For the weapon, I decided to use this heavy machine gun from Anvil Industries Turreted Machine Gun 5-pack. mounting it close to the driver, so it's kind of like a World War I airplane with the machine guns within reach to operate the charging handle or change out magazines. Use some L-shaped styrene to make a weapons mount. Rooting through my bits box, I pull out these side pipe exhausts. I'm pretty sure these are from a Zuru Buffalo, but I'm not quite sure. Anyway, I trim them down and add these to the side of the car. I also cut a triangle slice out of some styrene tube to act as a heat shield and kind of blend the exhausts into the body of the car. And finally, I add these nitro canisters, which are from Anvil Industries, to the side, in a similar way that Lord Humongous has them on his truck in Mad Max 2, RoadWarrior. Now for the truck, which I plan to build something similar to the Fast and Furious 5 truck they used during the heist where they're trying to get the cars off the train. So the first thing I do is remove the roof section. I then cut some mesh for the windows since I didn't feel I'd have time to do the interior since I was working on two different cars. Following this, I cut the driver's cab roof off of the piece that I just removed. And then glue that into place, and then I'll cap the back of the cab off later. But first I want to switch out the original wheels for something that looks more off-road like. With the original ones removed, I grabbed these wheels from my previous Jeep build and try them out. And then cut some new axle tubes from some styrene tube. I also cut some styrene flat rod to act as spacers to raise the height of the truck for the bigger wheels. To thread the styrene tubes over the original axles, I cut them down the middle and then slot them over the top. Then attach these axles to the base of the truck. Next, I add the set of bull bars from my bits box, which again came from another Zero casting that I cut up for par. And then add this pop-up rocket pod from the Autokill's Heat Seeker set. To make the truck look a little less stock, I added these side pipes from my bits box, although I mounted them vertically, so they look more like exhaust stacks. Before I can work on the truck's bed, I need to cap off the cabin. So I use a piece of scrap styrene to make a panel that will fit the gap. Once I cap the back of the cab off, I then use some C-shaped styrene to make the wheel ramps where the car will sit, cutting them to the length of the truck's bed. To give them something to mount to, I cut some L-shaped styrene and glue that in place before attaching the wheel ramps. And then trim the inner walls of the wheel ramps so any car that I put here won't get hung up. With that done, I then glue everything into place. For the loading ramps, I do the same as before. Then I make some hinges out of some square styrene tube and some circular styrene rod. Which I glue into place like so. After this, I add some tabs to the ramps for the hinge mechanism, made up from some flat styrene strip. I also use this to make a frame to make the loading ramp. once that's assembled, I can glue this to the back of the truck like so. Now it's time to use some green stuff to fill in some gaps and to model in some details. Now for those who don't know what green stuff is, it's a 2-part epoxy putty. As you can see, it comes in this yellow and blue tape. You tear a piece off and then you knead it until it's a solid green. So once I've kneaded it to have a solid little green ball like this, I roll it into little sausages and then apply it around the rocket pod. This is where I really wish I had bought some sculpting tools. It's on my list to get, but unfortunately I just don't have them. So I have to use my fingers on my metal roller to get the job done. Anyway, once I'm happy with it all smoothed off, I use my metal roller to indent some details to make it look like welding seams. For the car, I just plan to use it to fill the gap between the driver and the seat. So I just use the end of my paintbrushes to kind of squish it into place. It's not the best job, but it's the best job I can do with the tools that I have at my disposal. And here we have both finished builds before paint. Did a few little things here and there, such as adding rivets, because there wasn't that many, so there was no real point to do a rivet montage. As well as just... I also modelled in these hydraulics to the ramp, just to give it some plausible detail of how it functions. And I also added some drivetrains to the underside of the truck, just so you can kind of tell it's sort of 4-wheel drive. It's not the best detailed, but at a quick glance you can see that it's obviously some kind of 4-wheel drive. Onto the paint, I start with a base coat of Revell Aquacolor Storm Grey, just because I use this as a primer. Followed by a Revell Fiery Red for the car. And a Revell Purple Red for the truck. Following this, I apply Revell Rust to all the metal parts, which I then dry brush over the top of with some Revell Aluminium or Revell Steel to make the parts look like they've rusted over time. Then skip ahead painting on the little details and apply a homemade black wash, which both blends everything together and gives it that nice dirty wasteland look. And here we are with the finished builds. This was another enjoyable challenge by the Diecast Mafia. I was quite surprised how the car turned out. I initially just bought it for the novelty of it being the Monopoly car, but I never figured I was going to use it. But it's got me thinking I really want to do a bunch of classic race cars in the Gaslands style, just because it was a lot of fun. So again, this was supposed to be like a classic racing team, so I was going for the Idris kind of sponsor, hence why I've also painted them red, because Orcs red is the fastest. So yeah, I wish I had some decals I could put on them to make them look a bit more in keeping with the Idris sponsor, but I don't have any, and I don't have enough confidence in my fine detail painting skills to paint on some logos, but who knows, that's something I can come back and do later. If you enjoyed this video, please check out some of the other people who've taken part in this challenge just by simply searching Diecast Mafia, Highway Hauler and Car Challenge. These challenges are hosted every month by BJ's Customs and My Die Miniatures, who are also worth checking out. Keep an eye out for the next challenge video and join in if you want. Be sure to stick around for the glamour shots and the short animation. and I'll see you all in the next video.